Today on The Grid, we are doing an open Q&A day. So we answer your questions on Photoshop and on Lightroom and on photography and on love. We also have some stories from Swingin' London, which I just got back from last night. The Kuna Man, the K-Man, the can of ham is right here today. We've got all kinds of news and giveaways. We're giving away some stuff because it's going to be another fine day on The Grid. And it all starts in just 11.2 seconds. Let's go!
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
Ooh, that was close.
Oh, that was nice.
11.2
could have been
pretty close.
I'm just picking random numbers at this time. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, 1 o'clock-ish. You are watching The Grid. My Scott Kelby here with Mr. Erik Kuna.
Hey, everybody.
Mr.
Welcome
K,
to The Grid.
keeping it down while I was in London town.
Yeah. So, you were across the pond, right?
Yeah, I had a great trip. One of the best shows on earth is the photography show. It's called literally the photography show. It's been held for, I guess, the last 10 years in Birmingham, England. This is the first year it's come to London, and it was great. It had a very cool vibe. It was a very nice center called the Excel, which is right just off the Thames River. And it's a kind of a neat, kind of new area that's kind of growing in East London. So it was a lot of fun. So I spoke for Adobe twice. I did 2 gigs in Adobe's booth, and that was a lot of fun. I saw great people like Russell Preston Brown and Julianne Cost.
Yeah.
And ran into all kinds of friends. Dave Clayton, who's worked there for 10 years, runs one of the theaters there. I saw Dave. I saw Peter Treadway. I had lunch with my friend Richard. It was great. I had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Just great.
Well, it can't be too bad if you're in London, right?
Oh, yeah. No, London. I love London. One of my favorite cities in the world. First place I went when I was a young man, first, my 20s, and left the United States for the first time. London was one of my first stops and just fell in love with it. I love the British culture. I love the British people. I even love pub food. I like it all.
So you'll have some images to show in
I have a story,
it's just a sec. But before we get there, we got to talk about some prizes today, right?
Let's see what we're giving away.
So giving away, because we love to give away stuff here on The Grid. So, and you can win too. We are giving away a Platypod grip today. So somebody's going to win the Platypod grip. This is an amazing attachment for your iPhone, Android, whatever you need as far as a phone to hold onto a tripod or a Platypod and stabilize it. That's the thing right there. So somebody's going to win that today. And then we're giving away, speaking of traveling, we're giving away a copy of Scott's travel photography book. You can get this over on Amazon, but somebody's going to win it today, a physical copy of that. You can get that right over there on Amazon. And then speaking of Scott, another book, we're giving away Scott's Crush to Composition book. So that's going to come to one lucky Grid viewer today. Man,
I signed so many of those. My publisher had to stand not only there at the show where I did a traditional book signing for an hour, but then after one of my talks, they set up a booth right outside, and I explained why I wrote that book, and I signed for a solid hour after that class.
Very cool.
I almost missed another speaking gig because I walked in and then I was on.
Well, I can tell you that on that note, I've been working with Kim on finalizing the night photography book that we're working on.
It's about to go to press too.
Yes, but I'll tell you, so I'm kind of doing the final read, and I'm reading it. I'm going, where was this book 20 years ago when I was learning all this stuff?
Right.
Because I was like, man, I would have loved that to have like somebody just like, it's the things in these books are so you don't have to struggle. So you don't have to spend all that pain.
Yeah, you don't have to spend years trying to get what
pain.
You can get,
Exactly.
And, every time I've shot the Milky Way, Erik was standing beside me telling me what to do, and it works like a charm. Like he's got it down, and if you want to shoot the Milky Way, the night sky, light painting, any kind of astrophotography, whatever you want to do, having Erik standing next to you makes a big, and this is the next best thing, because you can turn to a page and it's Erik's own words saying, do this, do that.
Yeah, we were reading it, and I was like, I wish I would have had this.
Right?
All right.
Wouldn't that have sped things up?
Now, speaking of Milky Way, we're giving away a copy of On One No Noise 2024, that is my go-to for any kind of low light, high noise, high ISO shots anymore. It cleans up so much out of your images. So somebody's going to win that. And then we're going to give away a V-Flat from V-Flat World. Everybody can win, though, a V-Flat World because they can get 10% off by using the code Kelby10 at checkout, get 10% off. But somebody's going to win one of those V-Flats. You just have to have a U.S. shipping address only to enter that one. So to enter, all you guys are going to do is just go wherever you're watching the show. We monitor all the channels, and just leave us a comment. Tell us what you'd like to win. And then right there, when you're asking, ask a question, because that's what today is all about, is a Q&A day. So we're going to have open Q&A. And before you get started in your story, just a little thing, if you are in Florida, right, or around Florida, or up the coast of the U.S., there is a rocket launch tonight that's going to happen right after sunset. When those ones happen right after sunset, we get this twilight phenomenon where the rocket's exhaust gets lit up. Like you can see on my screen here, this shot is actually from my backyard in Tampa, Florida. So that's 145 miles away from the launch pad.
800 millimeter lens?
That is that's a 400 millimeter with a 2x teleconverter. So it brought me out to 800. Yes. Wow. You could crop in too at 400 and just crop in. But my point being is, if you're in Florida, you could see the skies. We have clear nights tonight. You should be able to see this too. And it's great if you have a telephoto lens, just make sure you underexpose a lot, because you want to get that contrast. It's going to get lost because it's going to be very bright because it's going to be lit up by the sun, but then you're going to be in the Earth's shadow. So you want to, kind of like underexpose it. And then if you are in Florida and you're looking for something to do at the end of the month, I'm actually teaching at the Florida Camera Club Council meeting. Council. Yes, so you can go check that out. So if you're in Florida and you're part of the Florida Camera Clubs, check that out. It's coming to Bradenton at the end of the month. I'll be teaching a class over there on phones and how to use your phones.
Absolutely extraordinary.
So check that out.
All right. Are we ready for the London story?
Yes, London stories. Let's hear it.
All right, so I'm going to London.
First, did you get the dirty dog?
No.
Man,
I know, and I had some friends that looked at, but there was no Frankie and Benny's anywhere near us. The east side of London is literally like a half an hour from what I would call central London, so we weren't able to get to a.
Well,
Frankie
it's probably
and Benny's.
pretty good given the calorie counts.
1.2 million calories. Yeah. All right, so I did not, but I had some amazing meals.
All right.
So I'm going to get to London on Saturday, right, for the show, and I don't speak until Sunday. I speak Sunday, all day Monday, and then I fly home Tuesday. Very short trip. But I'm there, and I land at like 11 o'clock in the morning. I get to my hotel by like 12:30, checked in, and I'm like, I got to go shoot something. There's been something I wanted to shoot for literally 13 or 14 years. It's how I met Dave Williams. So there is a cathedral in London called St. Paul's, and it is absolutely stunning. It's like they took a cathedral from Italy or France and dropped it in central London. And it's an iconic dome in the London sky, but it's incredible inside. I've been there numerous times, but when you walk in the door, there's all these signs, no taking pictures, no taking pictures. I've talked about this in my sessions, and one of the things I say is, while they tell you can't have cameras, there's people in there with iPhones shooting all day long, 48 megapixel photos, and nobody cares. So here's what I was thinking. Hear me out, all right? I think, well, I'm going to go to St. Paul's. I'm going to take pictures of the sign that says you can't take pictures. I'm going to go in there and get some really nice pictures with my phone. So I go, and you have to buy a ticket. So it's like 26 pounds, or 35 bucks or whatever to get in. So you can buy your tickets online. I'm on their site, and I see that they have a filming and photography link. And I thought I would click on it. All right. Can you show my screen now?
Screen.
So this is the page. When is visitor photography allowed inside the cathedral? I'm like, well, here we go. Visitors are welcome to photograph. I'm like, what?
So the whole thing's a contradiction.
It says we ask to be respectful and mindful of the privacy of others. Don't take, pictures during our services, you know, but it goes on and on to tell you, oh yeah, shoot away. And it says, you know, where is visitor photography allowed? It's allowed across the cathedral floor, in the crypt, on the stone, everywhere. Just, you're not allowed to set up a tripod or a flash or a light stand.
Or monopod, gimbals.
Yeah, but that's it. I'm reading this and
yeah.
my mind is exploding because they literally open up St. Paul's, or have traditionally, for a week to let photographers in. Like, there's 1 week of the year when photographers are allowed in. So I'm like, well, I'm going to grip my... I brought my wide-angle lens with me, which I don't travel with that often. I brought my 14 to 35.
Okay.
I get in an Uber. I go to St. Paul's. I'm walking outside. I go, here we go. I go through security. I have my camera with me. They say nothing. I go to the front desk. I give them my, you know, I had a QR code because I bought my ticket already.
Right.
Oh, great, easy, you're in. And I walk in, and I want to show you the first thing I see when I walk around the counter. This. We kindly request that you do not take photographs free. Now, on their website, you're welcome to. Please do. It's perfectly fine. I walk around the ticket counter. There's another one that says, we kindly request you do not. And I'm like...
Do you think the person running the website and the person setting up the stands and the signs are not communicating with one another?
I think it's something like that, but I have it. So then I walk a little further, and now I see this sign. It says no photography or video during services and prayers.
Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah, well, this is what it says on the website. Or after 4:30. I don't know what happens at 4:30 because I was there after 4:30. It looked like it did at 4:20. Anyway, so here's what I think. I think that those signs are supposed to be put out during service.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't take them down.
They just didn't take them down?
Because
or they never
I
take
walk
them down.
in. Now, I will tell you, I didn't see very many DSLRs or mirrorlesses. Everybody was shooting with their mirrorless. I mean, everybody. And I'm talking to security guards, and I'm asking, how do we get up there? And how do we go
phones.
Here? I'm talking to the guys. No, there was no Android phones. It was all iPhones. Anyway, so there was... I'm just messing with you. Anyway.
I like mine.
It's great. So anyhow, the long and short of it is, I went everywhere. I shot everywhere for a solid hour. Nobody said a word, and I've been trying to get in there forever. So I'm going to show you a few pictures. I did take a few pictures. Let me show you real quick. Let me get it full screen. All right, here's one.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
So I had to wait to get this kind of empty. So what you can't really tell is, if you go past the little table that you see in the front, there's probably 150 people standing there. I just happened to be at an angle where you can't see them. But there was a tour guide with about 8 people standing directly in front of me. And she's talking and talking. They're not looking at anything now. They're getting ready to leave. They're starting to walk, and then they stop, and she talked to them for 15 minutes. And I just couldn't get...
Story of photography.
I couldn't get anything done. I couldn't. And anyway, I waited and waited and waited. I finally waited her out. And this is shot with a 14 handheld 8,000 ISO. You can't even see any noise. 8,000 ISO. And I was just tickled to get it. That's probably my favorite shot. This is the opposite side of where I'm standing. So if you turn around from where I'm at, and there is an altar behind me, this is from the back side of the altar, which I think is an interesting view as well. So picture me standing 20 feet in front of this to take the last picture. Then I took one tall one. I don't take a lot of tall shots, but I took this one from right in front of the, from the opposite side of where you just saw the other one. And then there's the beautiful dome up at the top. And so I shot that. And here's just some shots around. This is when you first come in the cathedral. So I was shooting at the other end. Everything you've seen thus far has been from the other end. This is when you first come in. This is to one of the little side chapels, and I kind of left the people in, I thought, but I made them silhouettes. I darkened them up. They're backlit, so it wasn't very hard to do. And then this is, I just thought, an interesting angle as I'm going through. Anyway, just a couple of shots. Here's the main kind of center, and the reason you don't see people is I tilted it up just above their heads. If I tilted my camera down 1 inch, you'd see a bunch of people. Here's the weird thing about this church. It does not have pews. There are no pews. They have chairs like you'd see at a convention center, and that doesn't photograph very well. And then here's another shot that I took from the altar looking back at that whole area where I was shooting. So I was shooting at the other end of this. You can see there's a few people down there ruining my shot. And see how those modern chairs are there? I took one as I was leaving.
Oh, yeah.
It's just got modern, like, convention center chairs. So that kind of kills it.
Not as cool.
So that night, I got very lucky. I got to have dinner with some folks from the inner circle. So Allison and Jeremy Tuck, lovely, lovely people, and very, very fun. Really great personalities.
I know them.
We went to dinner. We all went to dinner and had a lovely dinner in Cannery Wharf, which is not. We're very close to Cannery Wharf. It's kind of the next thing over. So we had a great dinner with them, and we're sitting there talking. And I said, tomorrow I kind of want to get up and go to the Leadenhall Market. I always called it Leadenhall, but it's Leadenhall Market. And I said, I've been there like 4 times, and I never got the shot I wanted to. And the last time Erik and I were there together, we were there leading a workshop in London. And our job when we have the workshop is for everybody else to get their photos, not for us to get ours. I took a couple of iPhone shots, we do behind the scenes shots of everybody shooting and stuff, but I didn't have any chance to get the shot that I wanted. But a friend of mine who I had lunch with the next day, Richard O'Keefe, who's a great, great guy and a really good photographer, Richard told me, because he was on our workshop with Erik and I, you remember Richard, he said, because he's like a historian, a really cool guy, knows London and England history like you can't believe. He says, Scott, if you come here on a Sunday morning, there will be nobody there. Well, it's going to be Sunday morning, and I remember what Richard said. And so Allison and Jeremy are talking, and they go, how about if we drive you tomorrow? I'm like, yes.
That sounds like a plan.
Let's go. Because I was just going to take an Uber, but it's more fun if you go with somebody else, right? So Jeremy drove us. We got there about, 7:40, 7:45. We ran into a little construction on the way, which always kind of, now you can't turn right on this road. We had to kind of do a little circuitous tour of London. But we got there, and there was nobody there. But importantly, none of the stores had set up. These coffee shops and stuff, they come out and they set up tables and barriers and all, and then your shot is shot. You know what I mean? I'll show you a couple of shots from there if I may.
Shot.
If I might. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, I guess I'll have to show you a different way. Just a second. I have them on my desktop here. Let me grab them on my desktop. Oh, I should have had this set up. I can't believe I blew it. Hang on. Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't make a sound. I'll open them in Photoshop, I guess. Nope. It's not going to do it. Hold on. We're going to do it this way. And I'll start with my favorite, and then we'll move from there. That's not it. Hold on. So this is the shot I wanted right here. So that was the one that I never. Now this is with the new Platypod Delta. I had the Platypod Delta. This one
right here.
Had it with me, and their Platypod Traveler ball head. So a very, very small rig. And so I was able to set it down. That's why you see the low angle,
so it's
right?
Just sitting on the.
Okay, so there's that, and I've got another version of it here. This is standing. So look at the difference in how the dynamicity. This is Platypod down low on the ground.
You get the reflection on the cobblestones.
Yeah, it looks so different when you're down low. You get reflections that you won't get when you're standing up. It looks dry as a bone and all that. Still looks nice, but this is standing. But do you see how there's no chairs, there's no tables, there's no signs, all that? That only happens early in the morning. That's the entryway as you first come in.
Very cool.
This is one of my favorites here. And Erik knows what this looks like, right? Because we were there, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But there was Richard was so right. Sunday morning there's the rooftop. The ceiling straight up. And you already saw that. These are some of I have more shots, little alleyways on the side stuff. Anyway, so thanks to Allison and Jeremy, I got to do that. And they're just a lovely couple and really a lot of fun, like really fun people. We laughed all the way through dinner.
They're interesting. I've been shooting with them, and they kind of have a little healthy competition between the two of them. That's for sure.
Yes, they probably do, because they're not very nice people.
It's healthy.
So the next day, and I got a picture of them here, because the next day I did a photo walk as part of one of the things they wanted me to do was lead a photo walk. And there were more people than we had here. This is at the very end of the walk, and some people
there's Allison and
splintered
Jeremy
off.
Right
Here they are.
Yeah.
Here's Allison and Jeremy in the left bottom corner, right? And then there's the rest of us. There's Marcus. There's Piotr. Hey, Piotr. And there's me. And anyway, there we all are. They pictured, as you can see, a very picturesque place for me to do my photo walk. But we actually did pretty well. We did more architectural. We walked down to the new City Hall, which has got lots of cool angles and stuff. But a really, really nice group of folks. We had just a nice time. And it was, Erik, the best day you're ever going to have in London. Blue skies, probably 64 degrees. It was just gorgeous. It was really, really magical. Nice. So that was, it was really, really fun. Then I want to show you one more picture. I'm almost done with my story, and then we'll get to the questions. I got to speak for Adobe twice, and I got to speak all kinds of times for the photography show. So this was a photo taken by Richard O'Keefe, my buddy. And this is... so
that's the Adobe booth?
This is me talking about AI. I did a whole class called How to Use AI and Still Sleep at Night. And it was packed, standing room only all the way around. You can't tell from this picture, but it was slam-packed. A really great group. The people, when you get to present in London, it's a great group of people you're presenting to. The crowds are really into it. They're a lot of fun, and they're not afraid to laugh and have a good time. So that was a lot of fun. And I did a number of different talks. I was on an AI panel, so a panel about AI. The AI panel was a little bit more negative. Like, I was very positive. I was showing you, hey, do these things and don't do these things. The other one was like, we're all screwed. So that was kind of...
I feel like that's the gut natural reaction with people with AI, but then once you start to embrace it and understand it, you go, it's just another tool. Just another tool.
That's what my class was. My whole class was thinking of it as a production tool, and when do you cross the line and start to feel icky, and what things I won't do and why I don't do them. That's all that was in that class.
You can use a lot of AI and not feel icky.
Oh, you can use a lot of AI. And I basically used AI to do things that I could already do in Photoshop, but instead of taking 2 hours, and I gave an exact example where I spent, an hour and 45 minutes retouching a photo that Photoshop now does in 12 seconds.
Oh,
it took an hour. When that hour and 45 is an hour and 45 of your life, you're not getting back.
That removing reflections that they have now?
Oh, that was the picture. That's the picture I'm showing.
Holy moly, that's incredible.
Yeah. All right.
So that used to take hours.
I know, and now
hours, but when you're starting out,
sometimes it just doesn't happen.
When you're starting out, it's really hard, and then it's like you could just hit a button.
Not only is it really hard, sometimes it is impossible. Like you would have to be able to repaint and things that
you're like, I can't do it. But then AI is like, boom.
It absolutely is. All right, so that's
7
it.
seconds.
Had a great time. I got to see Lady St. Clair. And Dr. Jones. Had a great dinner with them. And then I got and I got to tell you guys, if you get to London, I'm going to tell you the best restaurant. I've eaten there 3 times now. Took my wife there last October and ate there again. One of the top meals of the year. The restaurant is an Indian restaurant, but it's new Indian cuisine. It's not the old-fashioned stuff that you get anywhere. Absolutely phenomenal. It's called Dishoom, Dishoom, and there's one in Covent Gardens. There's one in Canary Wharf. There's one in Birmingham, which is the first one I ate at. Absolutely one of the best meals of the year. Just phenomenal. Make reservations. It's very, very popular. And if you go to the UK, find a Dishoom. They're also in Edinburgh in Scotland. Dishoom.
Nice. Very cool.
All right, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we've got a bunch of shout-outs. We're taking your questions on anything, Photoshop, Lightroom, lighting, photography.
Look at Allison's in the chat saying hi.
Hey, Allison. Allison's in the chat. What?
All right, we'll see you guys back here in 3.4 minutes.
3.4?
Okay, 2.
Hey guys, Kirk Nelson here from the Pixel Pro Photography. I'm back down here at KelbyOne Studios, and I've got a great course lined up for you this time. We are talking about killer tips and tricks updated for 2025 in the beta version of Photoshop. We are going to dig into the newest features, the ones that work really, really well, and it's going to change the way you approach design. Ones that kind of work, are still in development, but are a lot of fun to kick the tires of. We're going to dig into the AI craziness that's been taking it over and talk about all the generative technology that's within the program. Now, we're going to have a ton of fun with these. You're going to learn a lot, and we're going to really explore areas of the program that you probably haven't seen before. Only at KelbyOne.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
Hey, we're back, Scott and Erik. Hey, I do have a picture. I have a behind-the-scenes picture here to show you from shooting in Leadenhall Market.
That's how you use the Platypod, right?
Yeah, that's the Platypod Delta with the Platypod little tiny ball head called the Traveler, I think it's called. And then my Canon R6 on top of that, shooting the shot that you saw earlier, or one of the shots that you saw earlier. But anyway, yeah, it's so nice. It's like you don't have to bring a tripod. This is your tripod. Yeah,
there you go, the Traveler.
This is it. This is the exact setup I took with me.
This is your setup. So that's what you got.
Now, here's what I did. Check this out. So I took this, and I turned it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the spikes out. And the whole thing fits in my jacket pocket right here.
Oh, yeah.
So I walked in, and it's literally just in my jacket pocket.
Yeah, just pull it out.
And so when I wanted to shoot, I just take it out, and nobody's going to say anything. And I pop it up.
Yeah, because it definitely doesn't look like a tripod.
No, it's lovely. They were selling them at the show, and they were having, dude, it was like they were giving away $100 bills. Their booth was on fire. He said it's probably the best show they've ever done.
That's awesome.
Now, you know who was selling in their booth? Kathy Bateson.
Oh, wow. Hey, Kathy.
Kathy could sell anything to anybody. She's just, she's so, and her accent and her whole thing is just, it's crazy.
Yeah. And speaking of, we got people joining us all over the world as well. We got
not John Dukes, hopefully.
Well, John Dukes is from the Washington, D.C. area, and he's saying hello from a beautiful spring-like cherry blossom blooming Washington, D.C. And then CN 1766 is saying hi from Minnesota. Graham's saying hi all the way from Malta. Joe saying hi from Albany, Indiana. Allison saying hi from the UK. Hey, Allison. And then Gary saying hi from Arizona. Valerie saying hi from Niagara Falls. He said I could have used your travel book last week while in Rome.
Valerie, you should have watched my class called Where to Shoot in Rome.
And then Jason saying hi from the UK over in Leeds. And then Claudia saying hi from Toronto, Canada. Patty saying hi from Iowa. John saying hi from Kansas City. And Grammy all the way from the crazy north saying hi to everybody. All right. So we got some questions I see below there.
Let's go.
Let's see what they are. But it's okay. We'll get to them. All right. Here we go. So Dave Young's asking, once you showed how to do light rays from a window in a church in Lightroom, I can't find it. Could you go over that? Like how to do light rays?
It would be my pleasure. First off, let me fix this. I think this thing, pardon me, I overcorrected it. So I'm going to go to transform, and I need to add a little. Yeah, I think I overcorrected this one. It looks too something. There we go. All right, well, excuse me, I still have this congestion I can't get rid of. All right, here's what you do. Who's asking for this, Dave? So Dave, what this is based on can only be done in Lightroom Classic. And that's because Lightroom Classic, when you go to the masking tool and you choose brush, you have two brushes, an A brush and a B brush. So what it is you're going to make sure the A brush is very small. So look at the size of the brush on screen. Here, let me make this a little bigger. Let's go here. I'm going to make the brush, well, first the brush is smaller. Look how small my brush is. I'll zoom in so you can see. Small, tiny brush. Then you're going to go to B and make sure it is a much larger, not that large, maybe that large brush. Mm-hmm. So it's a small brush for A and a big brush for B. Go back to A. And actually you want to put some feather on so the edges are soft. So let me bring the size down for that B. It's kind of big. All right, once you have that done, you're ready to go. Make sure auto mask is turned off. Increase the exposure amount. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to click once where you want the light beam to start. We'll start it up here in this window. So I click once, hold the shift key, switch to B, and then click where you want the light beam to end. And that's how it brings in the beam. And you notice that the beam is small up top and it gets bigger as it goes down. I'll try it from a different location so you can see again. Start on A with a small brush. We'll click in this window. All right, we'll go click once, hold the shift key, click on B, and then click where you want it to end. And there's your beam of light coming in inside of Lightroom Classic. It's a classic technique. And there you have it.
All right. So let's see what's next here.
Wow, lots of questions today.
So Kendra's asking any tips for shooting the lunar eclipse. So there is a lunar eclipse going on this week.
Excellent.
Yes. So it's Thursday night into Friday morning. So the night of Thursday into Friday, it's actually at Friday in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night. So we have that going on. Suggestions for that. One is you're going to be able to see it. All of North America will be able to see it. Somewhat of Europe. Let me see if I can actually show that. That's what I was trying to bring up here is can I show my screen? Because we could go into like things like photo pills. Let me see. Let's see. Can you see my screen? Yes, there we go. So we got photo pills up. So a cool thing about photo pills is you can actually load in eclipses. So you can see where the eclipses are. So you just go up to the top here, you can load in an eclipse, and then we can go down the list and you see there's one on 3/14/2025. We load that in, and then it's going to show you a bunch of these lines. Basically what that's saying is the people that are on the right side over here, so in Europe and in Africa, you're going to get a little bit of the eclipse. You're going to be able to see a little bit of the eclipse, not the total. And then everybody from about the tip of South America all the way to almost the end of Alaska, that's where you're going to see the total eclipse in there, that total eclipse viewable. And then all the way out here, also for the other side, over there in Australia and Japan a little bit, you'll be able to see a little bit of it too. So anybody there is going to be able to see what you're going to be able to see. Let me go ahead and stop that. Something like this, right? So you're going to have the sequence where the moon's going to start getting into a shadow. The shadow is going to be, Earth's shadow is going to be cast on there, and then it's going to turn kind of red there in the middle, kind of like this towards the middle, where you're going to have that reddish. Basically, you're in the Earth's shadow, and it turns like a warm kind of color. So you're going to have that. So what I would suggest is, one, I love this progressions. If you have clear skies showing the progression of how the moon changes, the key here is, and the tip here is, your exposure is going to constantly change because the moon's going to get into that shadow. That's where you've just got to balance three things. You got to have your ISO, shutter speed, and your f-stop. Your f-stop's going to be kind of constant. You want something that, you know, kind of open but not wide open, and then you want something in that shutter speed because you have to tell a photo range where you're going to freeze that action. So probably I'd say north of 1/100th of a second. It's better the higher you can go to freeze it, but not too high because you're going to have to play with that ISO. So then you show that progression along there. Yep.
All right. Excuse me. A question from Dean. Dean's asking, what is a good way to keep dew off your lens, especially when pointing at a higher azimuth?
Azimuth, yeah.
Azimuth, as will be the case this Friday morning with the lunar eclipse, Erik.
So, best idea there is use a hand warmer, right? So get a hand warmer, you know, like hot hands. Great example, hot hands. Just get a hot hands, get a rubber band. Rubber band that hot hands to the front of your lens. When that hot hands are on the front of the lens, now you can get what's called a dew strip, which is a dew strip that plugs into like a USB charger or something, and that'll heat up your lens. But you don't need all that. Just getting a hot hands, putting that around the lens. The other tip I would have is always use a lens hood. So the lens hood will prevent dew from building up. The hot hands will prevent dew from building up. And if you do both of those, no problems with dew.
All righty.
Yeah, and then John's asking, do you shoot HDR inside of buildings, churches?
I do if I'm using a Platypod, or very rarely a tripod. Can you ever get away with one? But only then. So I was hand holding all my shots. They were between 8,000 and 20,000 ISO. but ISO is no longer an issue. One of those images was kind of noisy that was taken at 20,000. I put it into on one, no noise. Boom. It was stunning, the job it did. So, yeah, noise is no longer a thing, I don't think. So, but only if I can steady the camera do I shoot the HDR so all three things are perfectly lined up.
So a question here on the, when you're shooting that low angle, right? How do you focus at that low angle short of your belly on the ground?
There is never a belly on the ground for me, and so here's what I do. I take the back of the camera and I pull the LED screen out and face it up. Oh, can you show how to do that? There we go.
Yeah, so
You
take
pull it out
and then
aim
face
it
it
straight up so I can see it.
Yeah.
So then I can either do one of two things. I can just tap on the screen. Now I have touch focus turned on my camera. I tap on the screen and it not only does it focus where I tap, but it takes the shot. So it focuses and 1, 2. I have it set on a 2-second timer. It goes 1, 2, boom. Now, what if I look at the final image or the image on my screen after it takes it? I notice it's off by a little, needs to go to the left or to the right, which is very common. Then take a look on my screen. I do a thing called photography.
Maybe.
I know when I say take a look at my screen that no one's really listening. There we go. That is photography. So I am moving the Platypod. In this case, it was a Platypod Ultra. I move it to the left. I move it to the right. I reach down. The screen's popped out so you can't see. But I pop it out, and boom, there it goes. So that's a little bit of photography right there.
And you can also add to that the Wi-Fi connection to your phone.
That was my next one. The other way is to connect via, you don't even have to have the Wi-Fi in the building. It connects right to your phone and makes its own private Wi-Fi network. You can see and shoot and change your settings. You still need to do photography. It won't move the camera, but it will move the focus point. But I don't generally do that. I literally just tap the screen and away it goes. Because your camera isn't sitting on the ground. It is up probably, well, it's up this high.
Yeah.
Right? So you can see how high it is. Just reach down, tap it once. It waits 2 seconds and takes the picture. There you go.
All right. Chris is asking, I have moved my Photoshop to a new M4 iMac, and I have lost the paint bucket, and I can't seem to find it.
Okay, so Chris, it's either hidden under, let me open up Photoshop and I'll show you where it might be, because there's just a couple of places. It can't be in like 10 places, but I'll show you what to do. So take a look at my screen in Photoshop here. And down here you see 3 dots. This 3 dots lists all, if you click and hold it, it lists all the other tools that are hidden, right? Now, if you don't see it there still for some reason, go to Edit Toolbar right there. It's in the top of that list of the 3 dots. So let me see if I can get you to see it. There it is at the 3 dots, top of the thing, Edit Toolbar. My guess is you're going to see it here, but if you don't, go to Edit Toolbar, and only the tools that are on the right side or the left side under Toolbar appear. If you look over here, you'll find your paint bucket, for whatever reason, isn't there. Click and drag it over to where you want it. If none of those work and you're like, Scott, there's no paint bucket, then that means your preferences are corrupt and you just need to build a new set of preferences. Quit Photoshop, restart it, and if you're on a Mac, you'll hold Shift, Alt, and Command. If you're on Windows, Shift, Alt, Control, and a little window will come up and it says something. It doesn't say something as easy as reset your preferences, but it says something that goes, yeah, that sounds like it.
Yeah.
Click OK, and it'll rebuild a factory fresh set of preferences, and at that point, it will surely be there.
And that's a great tip, too, if you want to customize your toolbar there and like take tools out. That's what you do.
Oh, yeah, I only have the tools that I want to use here. I don't have the notepad
so you
or
just
the
take them out.
mathematical measuring tool or any of the weird stuff, right?
So you could just go into that Edit Toolbar, and that's where you can drag those things out, and they won't appear anymore.
Yeah, you can see all these tools on the right I don't use. When am I going to use the red eye tool? When was the last time anybody saw a red eye, right? And then there's the note tool and the art history brush.
But they're still there in the sense they're just not on your
They're just hidden
right now.
They're hidden, yeah. And you're always one click away from restoring the default, so if things go bad, well, then you're good to go.
All right, well, we have to take another break. When we come back, we're answering a bunch more questions. And then if you guys have any questions, just ask in the comments. See you back here in a minute.
Hey everybody, Erik Kuna here with a new class for KelbyOne.com about illuminating light painting. We're going to go all into what you need to know to really master this different type of light painting where we're using studio light out in the field. So we're using tripods, we're putting our lights on light stands, we're putting them in different environments, and we're doing all that like we have here so we can get a shot like this. We're going to go through 1 light setups, 2 light setups, 3 light setups, a bunch of light setups. We'll be able to light complex scenes, simple scenes like you see behind me, with say the moon right behind it. So we'll have all those different elements in the class. From the beginning all the way through what you need to know, you're going to master how to use light painting as a tool to tell that story with light at night. So come join me and the moon in my new class on KelbyOne.com.
If you're like me, and I'm betting you are, you love Lightroom tips. I love them. I love those little things that make you faster and more efficient and more productive. I mean, that's why I run the website lightroomkillertips.com. Well, if you like this type of stuff, I got a brand new class where I've got 25 of my all-time favorite Lightroom tips. I got some brand new ones you've probably never seen before. I've got some ones that you remembered from years ago and you forgot about. I got some new twists. There's just so much stuff. We're gonna have a great time together. So come and check out my brand new class with 25 of my all-time favorite Lightroom tips, and it's exclusively here at KelbyOne.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
Hey, we're back,
We're
Scott
back.
and Erik. Hey, I want to show you something on my screen here. Take a look. This is another picture. It's a little bright. Hold on. This is a picture taken at that Leadenhall market, and this one is taken with my iPhone. So this is the iPhone edited in Lightroom on my phone, but just now edited in Photoshop here as I'm trying to lower the, let me see how bright my screen is here. Oh, my screen's quite dark, so yeah, I think it's a little bright there. Maybe pull the highlights back. Okay. Anyway, just to show you that, you know, Erik and I were just talking about iPhones on the break.
Two Dog Fox has a comment. It says, I'm taking my Platypod Extreme to Hawaii next January. It's a group non-photography trick, but hey, I got to have my good camera at least. I think we can make a suggestion here, though.
Yeah, I'm with you for taking the good camera. I'm not with you for taking the Platypod Extreme. The Platypod Extreme is probably bigger than your actual camera. I would use the Platypod Extreme if I was using a 400 millimeter lens for like a football game and I was mounting it as a remote or something. It's just too big. You got all this time to go to Hawaii, and you can afford to go to Hawaii. Go get a Platypod Delta. This is all you need.
In your pocket. It'll fit in your pocket. It'll be easy to use.
Yeah, it'll be easy to use. You won't be carrying this thing that's this big. You'll be carrying a tiny thing that literally fits. I could put it in my jacket pocket. It's so small.
I've had a 400 millimeter f2.8 on that,
and I bet it will work.
On
yeah,
that one.
On that one. Yeah. So don't take the Extreme. The Extreme is for extreme situations. You're going on a non-photography trip to Hawaii. You want to have a better trip? Don't take your Extreme. They're cheap. Go get a Delta. You'll love it. You'll love it. And
it's my favorite.
And you'll probably never use the Extreme again. All right. And
you
nothing
can
wrong with the Extreme if you need it. But
yes,
it's overkill for most people. Way overkill. Yeah, go get the look at $69, and the first people, the Kickstarter people, got theirs this week.
Yeah.
They all arrived.
Awesome. All right, Marty. Marty's asking, lots of problems with overexposure for iPhone full moon photographs despite downward dragging my exposure lock button. Any suggestions? I think that's where what you're going to need for that. You're probably using the built-in app for Apple. There is limitations of it won't underexpose enough. So I would use Lightroom's camera. So use Lightroom's camera app. You can go into the pro mode. Now with this, I'm assuming you have one of those pro models where you've got a telephoto lens, because you really need, for any full moon photography, you're going to need like a 5x lens to even start getting detail in the moon. Until then, you will have overblown moon because so much you're seeing is not the moon that it's going to have a hard time exposing for the moon. But that's where I would use Lightroom's built-in camera app, go into the pro mode, and then you can adjust your shutter speed, ISO. You can't adjust your f-stop, but you can adjust your shutter speed and your ISO. And then that's where we can get that shutter speed up, we can get that ISO down, and that's going to underexpose. It's going to create a sharper moon, a sharper image, because you're going to be a faster shutter speed and you're going to be at a lower ISO. So that's what I would suggest, is to go into like one of those manual apps. And the best one that everybody can use, it's probably if you got Photoshop or Lightroom, just go get Lightroom Mobile, and inside of Lightroom Mobile is the Lightroom camera. It can even shoot in RAW in there as well. So you can shoot RAW and do all that stuff.
Yeah, even if you have an old iPhone
Even
that doesn't
old,
shoot
old.
in RAW.
I think it's as long as the model's supported. It was back to the iPhone 6S is when the RAW support started, but I believe iPhone 8 or later right now is what the software will support.
All right, I got a question for you, Mr. Kuna. I can't see who it's from. Their name is cut off. Can we? This is from Mr. Cub 014 wants to know what noise reduction software are you using for your single shot Milky Way post processing?
On one, no noise. 2024.5.
All right.
2024.5. I mean, there's, I don't lose stars. The stars become sharper. It doesn't, like some other software will add stars, which I don't like, is, you know, because then you're adding fake stuff. So I just love theirs. Now, if you had the other two that I would say out there that comparable, I still like this one better. It's faster. Topaz, you know, Photo AI has a great noise reduction, and then DxO and their Pure Raw has a great noise reduction. However, I found that for me and astrophotography, On One No Noise 2024.5 is the best out there for me. Update class coming soon. Yes, we were just talking about that. If we kind of need to do another one pretty soon, especially one of the basics ones in the beginning. Because I think the last time we did one was like 2018, and a lot has changed since 2018.
Yeah. Hey, so Janie asked, did I take pictures of the cathedral with an iPhone? Take a look on screen. I sure did. Looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I took a lot of pictures in there with my iPhone. So yeah, this is just
I think
handheld iPhone.
I'm going to
16
start
Pro.
calling the iPhone the Apple mirrorless camera, so people just know what it is. Like it's just an Apple mirrorless
It's the
camera.
Apple. Yeah, because then people are like, well, did Apple release a camera?
Yeah, no. It's just,
Yeah, well,
that's
they
their
did
camera.
a
It's
number of years
mirrorless
ago.
camera.
Yep. Anyway, I took plenty of shots, plenty of them with the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And you get on the ultra wide angle now with the 16, you get 48 megapixels as well.
Yeah, you can go all the way.
Yeah.
Though I never did. I did shoot a couple of times. I shot. Let me go look. There were a couple of times where I switched on my 12 megapixel RAW. I'm not. Oh, that photo was RAW. The one you just saw was taken at. But I turn it on. I take the shot
So you
because I
take
was
the
back
shot
there
you
and I'm like,
want,
this
and
is
then
the
you
one,
turn it off.
and I turn it the hell back off.
And I love now how, well, this years ago they didn't have it, but they have the little RAW button up in the corner, so you can just turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah, you can see how many are RAW. You can see right there. I took a whole slew of them because I felt like, okay, this is good, and then I turned it right back off for all the rest until I saw something good. And then I, hit RAW again. But yeah, I took these are all iPhone photos that you're looking for here. Every one of them, these are all iPhone. And then there's me. There's iPhone. There's where I parked my car at the airport, by the way, right there. Because I couldn't park in my regular spot, so I had to take a picture of it because that's what you do when you're old.
All right. Warren's got a question.
Go,
This
Warren.
question it's a deep one, right? You have recommended the Canon 24-240 f4 to 6.3 lens. Is there a trade-off in terms of sharpness versus the Canon L series lenses, or are you just sacrificing speed? Key there, I'd like to lighten up my kit.
Warren, get the 24-240 for goodness sake.
Yes.
Every picture
Do not worry about it.
Every picture you see from me is from that camera. Do you ever look at him and go,
it's just
his
not
photos
sharp.
don't look sharp.
I wish he had
they're
an
just
L
not
lens.
sharp."
I wish
He
he
should have
had
had
an
an L
L
lens for
lens.
that. Now, theoretically, is it possible if you shot the same shot in the exact same
Theoretically.
place and you used an L lens, you'd look at it and go, yeah, I think the L's sharper. But what you're giving up money-wise, weight-wise and all, just all you
portability,
need
speed.
is some good sharpening software. It is the great equalizer. And I tell you what,
The new R lenses are sharp.
correct me
too.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the discussion of noise is almost gone.
Almost gone, yeah.
The discussion of sharp lenses is
Almost
also
gone.
almost gone. Since mirrorless came, the lenses today are so sharp that you can oh God, I'm sorry, I'm reading ahead.
You
I'm
could
seeing
fool
somebody else's
people.
question.
You could like they will never know.
They will never know.
Yeah.
Nobody will know.
There's like a 16 millimeter f2.8 RF Canon that's like $200. You could shoot the Milky Way with that, and nobody would ever know.
Nobody would never know.
In
So
fact,
they're
it is
sharp, they're
way
cheap.
sharper than any EF lens I ever owned, and it's $200.
Yeah, it's don't get suckered into that. That's old-fashioned stuff, is what that is. Today's lenses, even the cheap ones, the mirrorless ones, are night and day from the old lenses.
Get it? Don't look back and have fun.
And have fun.
Have
You'll
fun.
enjoy your trip and everything
Yep.
much more with that 24-240.
All right. Raul is asking, what's the difference between using exposure compensation and just increasing your ISO? Ooh, that's a big one. Wouldn't increasing exposure compensation increase noise the same way as increasing ISO?
Well, I hate to give you it depends, but it depends. If you're at 3200 and you have to increase your ISO, that's the one difference. If you're at 100 and you have to go to 200, who cares? Or 400
Well,
anymore.
if you're using exposure compensation, it's going to increase your ISO if you're using auto ISO, or it's going to decrease your ISO. Like,
No, but I think what he's saying is every photo has inherent noise. So
Yeah.
if you increased your exposure using exposure compensation, he doesn't mention whether it's brighter. We're just going to assume brighter because you can darken the photo and there's absolutely no increase in noise. If
Right.
you brighten an underexposed photo, then whatever noise is there is going to be amplified by a little bit. But really, who cares? It doesn't even matter.
It would, yes, but yeah, like Scott said, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right, Two Dog Fox is back. He said, you said unless a 400 millimeter lens. All right, I'm talking a 400 millimeter. Let me go get you one.
Yeah. Oh,
Obviously, Two Dog Fox needs some.
no. We'll get it at the break.
Will you get me one? All right.
Yeah.
We're going to show you what a 400 millimeter lens is, and then you'll know what I'm talking
Yes.
about.
Basically, what we're talking about, like even when I was mentioning it, not a 28 to 400. That's gonna be kind of like not that heavy.
I would absolutely use
Not that heavy.
I would
We're
not use the
talking
extreme.
like a 10-pound.
You'll
lens,
see.
Like a really big.
We'll get you
lens.
one.
Right.
All right.
All right.
So Eric wants to know, how did you get permission to do night photography at Nelson Ghosttown? We got permission for our entire group.
Yes. How did you get permission? You call them up and you ask.
Yeah.
That's all you do.
Now
And
we had to pay. You have to
You
pay
do have
too.
to pay.
You got to
have
pay.
to pay for a fee,
You're
and there's
paying.
license, all that good stuff.
Yep.
But just like anything in photography, like if you want the good pictures, you gotta
get
put
the
in
access.
effort.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. It's really just talking to them, getting permission, and paying the fees. That's it.
It's fee time. Yeah, because they don't want you there at night, man. They
No, yeah,
guard it
and
strictly.
they're very strict. And here's the other thing: don't ruin it for other photographers and try to not do it right. This is for everywhere. Don't go show up, don't do it right, and then ruin it for all the rest of us because you didn't call ahead of time. They're really cool.
Yeah, they are.
Unless you don't call beforehand.
Then they're not cool at all.
Then they're not cool at all, because I saw that with like certain people that they come up. But like, I understand that at the same time. There's tons of signs that say, don't be here after dark, all this stuff. And if you would have just called beforehand, not tried to break the rules, you wouldn't ruin it for other people. So that's it. All it is just contact them, talk to them. You'll be good.
That's true.
So.
All right. It is time to take a short break. When we come back, we got today's prizes and any last questions that come zipping in. So stick around. Oh, I got a DC. I got your answer here in a minute too.
Hey guys, I'm Karen Hutton and welcome to my class about Zion National Park. This park is absolutely gorgeous and it makes me so excited to be part of the greater National Park series that KelbyOne is doing. Zion National Park to me is really special. I've been here many times. Throughout this class you're going to see footage of me and scenery from other trips, because I really wanted to give you a full experience of the place over time and different conditions and so on and so forth. Zion is really a big, big park, and you're going to want a car. We'll talk about other ways of traveling through it. But just as an overview, I think of Zion in 4 sections. One is Kolob Canyons, there's Kolob Terrace, then there's the Scenic Canyon on the beginning the east side, and then the actual east side on the farthest other side of the park. So buckle up, we're going to cover all the areas and some of the specialities that each one has to offer, some of the things to be careful about, to be prepared for. We're going to talk about gear, we're going to talk about all kinds of things. So come join me on my latest epic class on KelbyOne.com.
Erik Kuna here with KelbyOne, and I'm here at Death Valley, California, at Death Valley National Park for a new class in our National Park series over at KelbyOne, where we're teaching you all about what you need to know to master photography at the national parks. And in this class, we're going to focus on Death Valley. I love Death Valley because it's such a diverse landscape. When you first look at it, you first get here, you might think, hey, it's not that different. But as you start to see the different environments, like here we're at the sand dunes, we're over at the salt flats, we're at overlooks, we're at Badlands, we're at colorful artist palette. We've got all these different things that you're gonna see and be able to capture as a photographer and know how to make the most out of Death Valley. Join me at my new class on KelbyOne, Photographer's Guide to Death Valley.
This segment of the grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
That's what we're talking about.
That's a 400, but it's still on the little one. It's on the Delta.
And it's actually using the ball head.
That is with Erik's body.
Larry T would be like, I don't know if I want to use in that Platypod, like
with that ball head.
Starting to get like at that limit.
You need a better ball head.
You need a better ball head? Well, you don't technically. It is working. But
when we say a 400, when we say you need an extreme for a 400, this is a 400. Not the 50 to 400 Alan Barnett.
Yeah.
Not the other one. That.
But I used that the other day. That same thing right there.
With a Delta.
Yeah.
Now, don't take that extreme. You're going to kick yourself. It's But if this was your main camera, I would absolutely use an extreme.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, when I used to use that big 11 millimeter thing, and that lens is as heavy as that thing. It's 11 to 35 is the heaviest lens I think Canon's ever made. That's not a 400 2.8.
Oh yeah, that thing's a
beast. I used to use the extreme with that, but that's it. You only use the extreme if you have an extremely heavy lens. Oi.
There we go.
All right. Warren says, okay, you confirm my thinking on the Canon lens.
Awesome.
There we go.
Do it. You won't regret it.
All right. DC.
DC said, what's the best lens like the 24-240 for a TSLR on a Canon 70D?
I have it for you. It is a wonderful lens, especially after you sharpen it. It's not as sharp. I'll just tell you because it's not a mirrorless lens.
Yeah.
It is the Canon 18 to 200. Or the 28 to 300. Did they make a 28 to 300?
That's you're thinking the Nikon.
No, you're right. You're thinking the
Nikon. That is
All right.
That was an
so
amazing
it's the 18 to 200. It's the 18 to 200 is pretty equivalent. And
the take
I love that
and then
lens.
go buy a sharpening tool on top of it.
Yeah,
and
you need
that's
a
where you'll
sharpening plug-in, and it'll be fantastic. So in my house, I have a shot taken with it, and my image is 60 inches wide and everything. And people come in and they're like, "Oh man, that shot is so sharp." And I'm like, "I took that with a lens that is not that sharp, but here's why it looks sharp, because I sharpened it." That's it.
All right,
Alan Barnett, leave your Platypod Extreme home.
How about the Tamron 50 to 400? Well, let's see. I'm just gonna look it up right here. The 50 to 400.
It's going to be one of those lightweight lenses.
Yeah, it's lightweight. That's good.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, no problems. Whatever you need.
You don't. And I've used the what I think is a heavy lens, the 70 to 200 f2.8.
No
I've
problem.
used it on there a million times, no problem. And I know it's not. I know it's heavier than that thing.
Oh yeah.
All right. Next question from Allison. All of Allison's questions get answered.
Allison.
She's like my buddy now. All right. With very high ISO pictures, we've been getting very different results. Some almost have no noise, whilst $5 word, whilst others at the same ISO is really noisy. Why? Is it related to the shutter speed? You know what it's related to, Allison? If you nail the exposure, you won't notice the noise. If you have to brighten the exposure, the noise gets exaggerated. So it really is. You can shoot at very high ISOs even without getting rid of the noise stuff. If you nail the exposure, if the exposure's right on, you won't notice the noise. Two Dog Fox says, "I get it. Fixed millimeter lens, tons heavier."
Yes.
We're just messing with you, Two Dog Fox.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're just messing with you.
Well, I'm
We're just
trying to
having
see
fun.
right now. So the difference between that Tamron and that lens, 2.6 pounds to 15.5 pounds.
Woo!
So there you go. Like, yes, anything under 15.5 pounds seems to be like it would work.
No, that says the weight is 6.4 pounds.
Oh, that's a package weight. That's right.
Yeah, it's 6.4, but you have to also
6.4
add
pounds.
weight. You have to add the weight of the body.
But no, I'm just saying.
And the weight of the converter.
Between that and the other lens we were just talking about.
Yeah, it's huge difference.
Yeah, it's 3 times.
All right, we are 4 minutes and 19 seconds over, and you know how upset the network gets when we do that. So we are going to wrap things up. Thanks everybody for all the great questions today. That was a lot of fun. A lot of good questions. And we
got to give away some prizes.
Yes, we're going to give away some prizes.
So,
please, Eric, give away many things.
Kendra Perry Koski has won the Platypod, and then Renee Whitley Price has won the Cross the Composition book, and then CN 1766 won the V flat all the way from Minnesota, and then Rory is winning the On One No Noise, and then Betsy Meshian is winning the Scott's travel book. Just email us over at gridprize@kelbyone.com. We'll verify information and then send you out that prize. Just make sure to try to do that by this Friday, please.
Hey, just a couple little last things about the photography show. Russell Preston Brown was there, dressed as the Mad Hatter.
Of course.
And then
I would expect nothing
And
less.
then they set up a photographic booth. They were working with Westcott, and they had a woman. I don't know what she was dressed as, because she had kind of a similar hat and a dress and the whole. She was definitely from Alice in Wonderland. And they had a backdrop set up, and they were blowing bubbles in front of her, and she was very animated and doing all this stuff. The pictures looked fantastic. So that was an interesting thing about this show. They have a lot of set up shooting opportunities.
Very cool.
Erik, they had one that was so intricate. Like, I thought, how could I do this? But it was so, they put so
Detailed.
much into this. Yeah. It was, picture a French cafe, right, with a cafe table. So behind you is like the windows of a French cafe with a table, and a man dressed like in a 1940s military suit, like he's in World War II, and he's having a cup of tea there. I mean, it was really nice. And the young man, his makeup and everything, he looked like a World War II character, from a French movie.
Right.
The war is just over, and France is liberated, and he's having, tea. And it was so well done.
You don't have any shots of it?
No, I thought I should. I was racing to get to my next class. I had so many flipping classes. Also, here's a picture of me in the Rocky Nook booth. I did a book signing there, and then I did a book signing after my other class. But that's me holding my brand new book, Crush the Composition.
Nice.
And I signed so many copies of that book because at the end of the class, I explained why I wrote that book. Because, and I'll just tell you guys the story just for 1 second. It's a short story. I explained it, and the reason I wrote this book was a few years back, a publisher, unsolicited, just sent me a book. Sometimes they hope that we'll review it or mention it on the grid or whatever. So they sent me this book, and it was on composition, and the photographer was really good. Like, the photos in the book were great. But I opened it up, and chapter 1 is like rule of thirds, and chapter 2 is like leading lines, and chapter 3 is balance. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is the same stuff. If you went back to the 1940s and you bought a book on composition, Erik, what do you think chapter 1 would be?
Rule of thirds.
What would chapter 2 be?
Leading lines.
All that stuff. Rule of odds. It's the same. But there's so much more to composition. And so I talked to my publisher about wanting to do a book that is all the other things that really make up composition today. Now, the very last 10 pages of the book, for reference so we could talk about them, I included just 10 pages out of this whole book, right? This right here, out of this book. 10 pages is on the rules, the top 10 rules of composition. The rest of the book is what we actually do day to day that no one's really talking about, and because every book on composition just keeps refreshing those rules. This is not that. And this is, by the way, the only book that I have that is 5-star. Like, all my books are 4.5, because there's always someone that hates it. Luckily, no one hates it yet. But
Give the internet some time.
Here's what my publisher wanted to do, and that's why I think this book is so unique, was what they said was, we want to do it like a coffee table book. We want it to look like a coffee table book. So it kind of has 1 foot on the coffee table and 1 foot in the classroom. So the pictures and the layout, can you scroll down a little bit more? I think they show a couple of the layouts. So the pictures and the layout of the book are more like a coffee table book than a regular how-to book. But everything that I'm writing is all how-to stuff. And so those are the different chapters and stuff. And then chapter 11, the classic rules of composition. And then chapter 12 is basically an appendix that shows the XF data for every single photo shown in the book, all the f-stops and all that stuff, and lenses and everything else used. All right. So anyway, if you want to get a copy, go to Amazon and grab one. And I would love it if you did. They got a discount on them. But I was great. I signed so many of those. It was so much fun. It's my latest book. Though I did send another book off to press, and Erik's going to send one off to press maybe by Friday.
Yeah, let's hope.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. You never know. All right. So that wraps up the grid for today. Thanks to everybody who came out to one of my classes out in London. Man, it was fun. That was great. What a great show they've got out there. And thanks to Adobe for having me speak for them. And thanks to Linda Paulson, who grabbed me for that gig. And thanks to all my friends who I got to eat with, and I saw Dave Clayton, and I had drinks with everybody. It was fun. I loved it. It's good to be back home and see the crew, though. We'll catch you guys next Wednesday live right here on the grid. Take care.
See you guys.